For weeks, the nation has been abuzz with one of the most closely watched legal sagas in recent South African history, the high-profile Firearms trial of economic freedom fighters, EFF, leader Julius Malema. Now, in a move that has added even more weight to the unfolding drama, President Cyril Ramaphosa has broken his silence, offering carefully measured words that reflect both the seriousness of the matter and the broader implications it carries for the country's political and judicial climate. Speaking during a media briefing at the Union Buildings in Pretoria, Ramaphosa addressed journalists who pressed him on the trial that has gripped headlines and ignited fierce debate across social and political circles. His response, though cautious, carried an unmistakable undertone. The rule of law, he said, must remain the ultimate guide, regardless of an individual's political stature or influence. No one is above the law. As President of this Republic, it is my duty to reaffirm that our courts must be allowed to operate without fear, favor, or political interference. Mr. Malema, like any citizen, is entitled to a fair trial. But equally, as in any democracy, he is subject to the same legal expectations as every South African. Justice must take its course. Ramaphosa's remarks come amid escalating tensions in Parliament and across the country, as Malema faces charges linked to unlawful firearm possession and the alleged discharge of a weapon in public. Critics of the EFF leader argue that his conduct undermines public trust in leadership, while his supporters insist that the charges are politically motivated, designed to weaken one of the government's fiercest critics. The president's words struck a delicate balance, avoiding outright condemnation of Malema, but leaving little room for misinterpretation about the state's stance on the rule of law. Observers note that Ramaphosa's silence on the issue until now was strategic. By stepping forward at this moment, he signaled that the case had grown too significant to ignore. Analysts say his statement serves multiple purposes. First, it reassures South Africans and the international community that the government remains committed to judicial independence. Second, it distances the presidency from accusations of interference, something critics of the ANC have often pointed to in the past. And third, it frames Ramaphosa as a statesman seeking to rise above political squabbles at a time when divisions in the country are running deep. But Malema himself wasted no time in responding. Within hours of Ramaphosa's comments, the EFF leader took to social media, accusing the president of using the trial as a smokescreen to deflect attention from what he described as the ANC's failures. He went further, claiming that the case is emblematic of how the state targets those who challenge its authority. The president talks about justice, but where is justice for the poor, the unemployed, and those living in squalor under ANC misrule? Malema wrote in a fiery post. This trial is not about firearms, it is about silencing dissent. The clash of narratives between Ramaphosa and Malema underscores the deeply polarized nature of South African politics today. For many citizens, the trial is not simply about whether Malema unlawfully handled a weapon, it is a symbol of the battle between accountability and populist defiance, between the institutions of the state and those who seek to challenge their legitimacy. Legal experts point out that the case could set a critical precedent. If Malema is convicted, it may reinforce the judiciary's independence and the principle that even powerful politicians can be held accountable. But if he is acquitted, the outcome could embolden his supporters and strengthen his image as a leader who defies the system. Ramaphosa, for his part, concluded his remarks with a broader reflection on democracy itself. South Africa's strength lies in our ability to resolve conflict through the rule of law. We may disagree passionately in Parliament and in public forums, but ultimately, we must respect the decisions of our courts. That is what ensures the stability of our nation. As the trial continues to unfold, the president's intervention has only heightened the stakes. South Africans now watch not only the proceedings in the courtroom but also the political ripple effects that may shape the country's future. For Ramaphosa, his carefully chosen words may prove to be a turning point, an attempt to project leadership in a moment where silence was no longer an option.